In Missouri, these cops beat this man to death because they didn't want to pay him or whatever went on. Real though, they beat the heck out of this man, you know, before, and that's how he, like, actually won his case after he sued him. When he sued him, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, they didn't like that. So they, like, actually just, like, beat this man to death so they can't, and so they won't pay him or whatever went on. You know what I'm saying? And that's all, bro. It's some crazy stuff. But that's what really happened. Anyway, now, this kid, this, like, actually, like, this dude, this brother, being, like, drug court, being, like, Ebony, Georgia, like, got hung, or whatever, and he got hung on the fence, or whatsoever, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And, like, they try to cover it up. It's telling the students that they, like, go and spill them, and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do, like, some other stuff too, or whatever, whatnot. Not saying that they don't stay silent or nothing like that. And that's some crazy stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? This boy just got, like, murdered on a campus, and they up there trying to cover it up, and they out of pocket for that. And that's all real. Anyway, now, this 15-year-old girl, like, end up, like, collapsing when she was up there, like, running for, like, track or whatever, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And, like, they called the ambulance, and they said the ambulance wasn't available. They had to wait for 45 minutes or whatever, whatnot. The ambulance still wasn't, like, available or nothing like that. Her mom took her to the hospital, and it was already too late. I mean, like, she was, like, really suffering. She went through chronic arrest, or however you see it. For real though, it was crazy as ever. I mean, like, and she died. And that's some crazy stuff. Like, the people that drive the ambulance don't want to do their job. That's some crazy stuff. That's on real. Anyway, so now they, like, go try to, like, put, like, Bibles up in schools and stuff like that in Texas or whatever. And they trying to do it on, like, 2030 or whatever, whatnot. You know what I mean? For real though. Anyway, so, yeah, they go, like, do that or whatever, whatnot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just, like, mess with people's heads and stuff like that. Mess with these kids' heads and all that. And that's some crazy stuff. That's some crazy stuff for real. And that's on real. Anyway, now this cop, like, actually, like, killed, like, this man or whatever or not. It was actually cops or whatever. I think they killed this man, like, up in the street or up in the parking lot or whatever or not. Now saying, I'm like, shoot. And then I think it was like a traffic stop or whatever or not. They just went up and killed this man for no reason. And that's some crazy stuff. That's really crazy. And the other thing is, they, like, these other officers, like, just actually had this man on the ground. The other officer ran up and kicked the man's head like it was a field goal or whatever or not. And these other officers in this, like, private prison killed this man for no reason. They jumped him and killed him. He had some brain damage. That was crazy as ever. That's on bro. Anyway, so just, like, these, like, officers killed this homeless man or whatever whatnot because somebody, like, called and said that he was trying to break in cars and stuff, knowing that the cop just made that up. He just wanted to, like, mess with a homeless dude. Because he don't have nothing better else to do or whatever. He told him to, like, sit down on the curb, put his legs on the front of him, cross his legs and put his hands on his knees or whatever whatnot. Now I'm saying, and this dude, like, was, like, complaining on what the cop said or whatever whatnot. Now, when, like, you know, the cop, like, you know, actually, like, kept on telling him this and stuff like that, and he asked him for his name, and he had, like, and then he told the cop his name. The cop act like he didn't tell him nothing, or whatever when I, you know what I'm saying? He said, do we have an ID? He said, no, he don't have his ID. I was like, what? He said, somebody stole it. For real though. Anyway, so the cop, like, you know, actually, like, you know, like, you know, was keep on, like, you know, telling them this and telling them this and telling them this. Like, cross your feet, put your hands on your, like, knees or whatever, whatnot. Like, it's crazy as ever. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's saying, I mean, like, that's saying, you know, dude got, like, you know what I'm saying, annoyed. He got, like, irritated or whatever, whatnot. But that's the thing that, like, you know what I'm saying, that the cops do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, shoot, when they, like, you know, actually do that or whatever, whatnot, they doing that so they can, like, you know, get on your nerves. Yeah, I mean, they actually do that. I mean, like, shoot, so you could get tired and then you could just, like, stop, like, listening to them or whatever, whatnot, so they could, like, go ahead and try to put their hands on you. And that's what they did with this man or whatever, whatnot. They, like, you know, put hands on this man or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So before it even got started, he, like, you know, start putting these, like, plastic gloves on his hands or whatever, whatnot. And he was, like, you know, telling this man, like, do you see my fist? He was like, yeah. He was like, well, why I gotta stare in your fist for? He was like, these, they getting ready to strike you. For real. So dude was like, oh my goodness. So when dude got up and they try to, like, you know, actually walk on by, minding his business or whatever, whatnot, get on about his business, the cop, like, grabbed him. The other one hit him in his leg with the, like, U-turn. And then next thing you know, they end up, like, you know, having pinning them on to the ground or whatever and whatnot. And dude was up there howling. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Dude was up there just, like, you know, absolutely, like, you know, just, like, you know, losing it or whatever, whatnot, you know what I mean? For real though. Plus, he was, like, you know, scared. He was scared as ever. For real though. I mean, like, shoot. Next thing you know, these, like, you know, the other cops came, you know what I'm saying, started, like, you know, getting into it or whatever, whatnot, you know what I'm saying, just, like, jumping on dude or whatever, or whatnot. It was, like, 6 cops up there. One hit him with that, like, you know, flashlight, and the other one hit him with the taser or whatever, hit him with the butt of the taser on his nose or whatever, about 8 times or whatever. They end up tasing this man. They beating the heck out of this man. This man ain't even moving, and they acting like he moving. They were like, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And that's crazy as ever. Dude up there, like, you know, calling out for help or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? He called out for his pops. You know what I'm saying? For real though, he said he couldn't breathe. They didn't even care. They kept on beating this man. They beat him bloody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. For real though. I'm like, dang, that's some messed up stuff. And this, they like, he keep on, he's still moving. He wasn't even moving an inch. He was just up there just saying, like, you know, he can't breathe. He just was obviously saying that. He said, please stop it or whatever, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? He was just like, you know what I'm saying? Actually just like, you know, actually just trying to get known about this business or whatever, whatnot. But they still didn't let up. They, like, kept on, like, you know, put their weight on this dude or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? He was bleeding like a mud. For real, they broke a lot of his bones or whatever. Broke his nose, broke his, like, you know what I'm saying, ribs, like, dang, it was crazy. It was crazy as ever. For real though. He beat this man to death. For real though. I mean, like, shoot, it was crazy. It was crazy as ever. Dude was, like, swole and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, like, they put him on life support, but they couldn't, like, keep him on life support because he wasn't gonna wake up. His brain was already dead. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang. And the cops that did it got acquitted. They got acquitted for that crime, for killing this man. And plus, they like, got like, fired. And now they doing other jobs and stuff like that. And this happened in 2011 in California. On July the 5th. And that's some crazy stuff, gang. And that's on, bro. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, hit the bell notification so you see my next upload and my next post. And I'll make sure I make a little more tomorrow. And oh yeah, you can check out my previous videos if you like, gang. So long, farewell, goodbye.